Hello everyone, my name is Jessica and welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, I'm a stay-at-home mom to 2 young kids, which just means I get out content when I can. I have tried to do like 1 to 2 videos a week. I at minimum get 1 a week, but I'm definitely trying a lot harder to do more. It just obviously takes time. So today's case, you would have all heard about. I am late to the game. I know I'm late to the game, but I really dove in deep, and this is a deep dive on Madeline Soto in this case. I feel like I'm bringing some new stuff, like with Madeline's dad. Court TV was the first to report it, but I've not seen it being widely talked about yet. I mean, maybe as I'm editing this, it's going to be getting talked about a lot. I hope to provide some new eyes to this and talk about everything in a respectful way. I do want to give like a massive trigger warning. I'm going to be talking about some of the charges. I'm not going to go into them into detail at all. Of course, like I can't do that. I'm going to do the best that I can to cover it the best that I can, but also I don't want to get into the nitty-gritty details, but we all know what this can include: CP, SA, all that sort of stuff. So if that's not your thing, please don't watch this video. I don't want this to be triggering to anybody. I know me, this is like the first case with this that I'm actually looking into, because I had said I wasn't going to talk about it, but then seeing all these other connections, I was like, this has to be brought up because I believe this is a lot bigger of an issue than we even have first realized. I hope that you stick around and want to watch this video. So anyways, let's just finally hop into it. 13-year-old Madeline Soto was unalived by an unknown individual on the presumed date of February 26, 2024. It is alleged by her mother, Jennifer, that Jennifer's boyfriend, Stephan Stearns, drove Madeline to school and dropped her off near the school, and then Madeline proceeded to walk to school and then just went missing. She found out that she was missing when she went to go pick Madeline up from school, and she wasn't there. And then within like an hour, she filed a missing persons report. Then on Friday, March 1st, just 4 days after Madeline was first reported missing, they found her body in a wooded area off Hickory Tree Road. Stephan was arrested prior to Madeline being found, and he was arrested on Wednesday, February 28th on CP charges. I'll get into that a little bit later, but as of right now, there are no other charges against Stephan other than his 60 charges. At the time of Madeline's disappearance, her middle school, which is Hunters Creek Middle School in Orange County, Florida, had no policy on reporting absent students until after 3:30 p.m. the day that they wouldn't be there. And fortunately, but unfortunately, since this incident that has happened with Madeline, the whole county has implemented a brand new policy that's going to take effect on April 8th of this year, so in 2024, in which shortly after first period starts and a child is not there, then the parents will be notified that their child is being marked absent.
Moved to change the district attendance policy on Tuesday after much concern from parents over the current attendance policy.
We have had several emails, calls, and even some speakers at our public comment portion of our meeting regarding our attendance call-outs,
which I think is really great. I think a lot of schools have things where children aren't reported till at least like lunchtime or something, but maybe they could have found Madeline sooner had this been a policy. But thankfully in Florida, they're moving really quick and have implemented that policy. So I think that's actually really great. So Madeline Soto was born February 22nd, 2011 to Jennifer Soto and Tyler Wallace. 2 months after Madeline was born, Tyler actually married somebody else. He married Tatiana. I'm not going to share her maiden name, but her married name is Wallace. So this leads me to believe that perhaps Jennifer and Tyler weren't like serious and maybe she just got pregnant, but he was in Madeline's life. Both Tyler and Tatiana serve in the military. From what I can tell, just like comparing photos, when I saw the photos shared by Court TV of Tyler and Tatiana's wedding, Tyler appears to be wearing a U.S. Navy outfit that they wear when they get married. And I saw from Tatiana's Facebook that she is in the Air Force. So with being in the military, if you know anyone who's been in the military or you yourself are a military family, you know that you often move around a lot. So I have seen through records, like public records, that they've moved around a lot to different states like Georgia, and they were in Florida at one point. As of right now, it appears that they have settled in Texas. I can't speak 100% to Tyler's involvement in Madeline's life, other than the photos that they share on their own Facebooks of Madeline as a baby, and then what appears to be like when she's, I don't know, maybe like 6 or 7. I don't know, it's hard to tell. I'm not like, honestly, even though my mom, I'm not like the best judge in age. With like older kids, if it was like a toddler, I think it's pretty easy to know how old they are. But yeah, I'm not really sure how involved he was in her life. I I would assume being in the military, you can't be that involved, but maybe they had phone calls or, video chats of some sort. But he was known to be the dad. He knew he was the dad and was involved in her life to some degree. So I'm sorry, I'm not sure if I shared, but Tyler and Tatiana married April 2011. I said 2 months later, but I didn't share the date, but it was April 2011 that they got married. So I am unaware if Jennifer had any other relationships after Tyler until 2015 when she married a man named Stephan Young. I can share his middle name. I mean, it's all over the internet anyways, but Stephan Young is his name, spelled Steven. So it's not like Stephan, but Stephen. And there is no record that I can find of a divorce. It is public record in Florida to see divorces, but there's nothing there other than a separation. And I do see that in 2017, they went to family court together. And from my research, I don't see that Jennifer has any other children. I mean, I'm just assuming here, so I could be very wrong, but I think that family court thing that had happened was between Jennifer. Well, I'm not assuming, it's like, it does say it's between Jennifer and Stephan, but I think it has to do with Madeline, which means that Stephan raised Madeline as his own, at least while they were together. So then that kind of makes my brain think that maybe Tyler wasn't that involved while she was younger. But that's, again, that's just my assumption based on looking at the documents and the dates. And if you're curious, you can't look up any family courts ever. Anything involving minors, you can never see them. So that's why I'm saying this is all assumptions, because it is all assumptions. So Stephan Young, the guy that Jennifer had married, ended up marrying somebody else eventually. And I do see the record of that. He married Josephine, and I could see it on their Facebook and everything like that. And I did see that Josephine shared a story, like when Madeline first went missing, she shared someone else's Facebook post about Madeline missing. And this person was Hannah Cruz. And I looked Hannah Cruz up on TikTok. She's Hannah Banana. She's been very vocal talking about it, like addressing the haters and like people who are calling out Jennifer and saying Jennifer is involved with this. Hannah's like defending Jennifer, saying we don't know and all this stuff. But I'll show you a few of her TikToks right now so you can kind of see like her mannerisms and how she talks and everything. So this is Hannah Cruz, who is Madeline's aunt.
Okay, so you guys, this is Town Loop Boulevard right here, and this is 417. So this is a very busy area. Like, this is a very, very busy area. Somebody saw something. She was dropped off at this church right here. She's supposed to go into this overpass and go to this middle school right here. So please, anybody in this area, Monday morning, if you saw anything, even if you don't know if it's important, just say something. We need to find Maddie. So please say something. And y'all in these Facebook groups do the most out of everybody. Honest to God. Do y'all stretch in the morning before y'all reach this far? Because holy, the speculations that I have seen in these Facebook groups, like, what drugs are y'all on? Because wow. Also, some of the cruelest things about Maddie have been said in these groups, and honestly, that's the only bittersweet part about this, is that she's not here to read some of the cruelest things that you guys have said about her. Just wow, honestly. Disrespecting a 13-year-old after she's already gone is not a flex. It's really interesting to me that y'all want to blame anyone but Stephan, the one that actually her. But what makes y'all think that I could have stopped anything? Like, as I said in the video, I'm extended family. So I babysat Maddie when she was a very young girl, and I haven't seen her in a few years. So what exactly could I have done?
So Josephine shared Josephine shared Hannah's TikToks and posts. So it leads me to believe that they're friends. So I wonder if Josephine and Stephan are involved or were involved in Madeline's life, because I did see a post on Josephine's Facebook of a game. I posted on my community post asking, like, does anyone know the name of this game? It's Settlers of Catan. And I know that Stephan Stearns played video game or board games as well. So I just wonder that. So I mentioned that a little bit earlier than I wanted to, but yeah, that I found like super interesting. Okay. So after this relationship with Stephen young and they got separated again, not divorced. I didn't see any divorce, but he married someone else. I don't know how that works. Like maybe they did divorce, because from what I know, I don't think you can marry more than one person at a time, but I'm probably wrong on that. Like you hear about people like sister wives and stuff, right? But so then figuring out the timeline of when Jennifer and Stephan started dating, I have seen a bunch of like interviews and stuff of friends of Stephan's talking on people's podcasts. And one of his friends had said that Jennifer and Stephan started dating in 2018. Sorry, I just realized I didn't say this, but the divorce happened. Sorry, this time my brain works. Okay, I'm sorry guys. I have a script I'm looking at, but my brain still is just like, it does its own thing. So Stephen and Jennifer got separated. They had that family court thing. I don't know if I said that before. February 27th, 2017. And then she met Stephan in 2018, or started dating in 2018. So she seems to hop like guy to guy pretty quickly, in my opinion. I could be wrong. Like this is just my judgment, and I'm just judging her. I'm just judging. It doesn't mean my judgment is correct. Okay. So this would have been when Madeline was like about 7 years old that Stephan became involved in her life. And both Stephan and Jennifer worked at Disney. So I wonder if they met at Disney. They did completely different things, but it doesn't mean you can't meet each other. I mean, it's a massive park, right? I've never been, but it's a massive park. So that's probably where they met, would be my assumption. But Stephan worked on a ride called The Journey into Imagination of Figment. There was a YouTube channel that someone discovered, and I'll share the YouTube video of Stephan, greeting these people. And then on his Reddit, he shares about like safety and all this kind of stuff with like children and families and making sure, whatever. That's just the general list. He talks about safety, but that is not something that you would say when you just greet, especially because I see that video. He goes, have fun, It would show me that he worked multiple areas of that ride. So he did have encounters with children and families. And then I was trying to figure out a timeline because, as we all know, Disney came out and said that Stephan never worked there, but it's not true, especially when there's video footage of being presumed Stephan working there, and then the Reddit, as I referenced already. But I was looking through all his posts and trying to figure out, okay, when did he leave? Because his newest posts that were like, I think like a month ago or something, he talked in past tense, so having worked there, like when I did work there sort of thing. So I was looking at all them and then trying to figure out this timeline, like basically, because the Reddit posts say like how many days away or how many days since that post. So then I just did the math on my phone. From what I could see, Stephan appears to have stopped working at Disney somewhere between November 22nd, 2023 and December 22nd, 2023. Because the November one, he talked about working there and working long hours, like in present tense. But then the December 22nd one, he talked about when I did work there. So that's the date. So he has not worked there for a few months, but he did definitely work at Disney. And that was the timeline. And then I saw, I believe it was on Reddit. If it is, I'll put it on the screen on Reddit, that someone found that Jennifer worked for Rover, or has like an ad on Rover. If you don't know, Rover is an ad that anyone can sign up for. There are like security measures to go through, and it takes a while to get approved. And the only reason why I know this is because there's this influencer I like to watch, Samantha Joe, and she, for one of her videos, did like signing up for Rover, and she went on like took dogs on walks, went to their house, fed them, all that sort of thing. And I just saw the process of Rover and how it works. And so Jennifer on her profile had said that she is always home. And so this led people to believe or assume that, okay, because she's saying this, was she unemployed? Was this like in the interim that she did Rover when she wasn't at Disney? But then I was looking up what Jennifer's position was at Disney. And from what I can see, sorry, I'm just looking at my phone here. From what I can see, Jennifer worked at Walt Disney World at the Swan and Dolphin Dining. Let's see, Swan and Dolphin Dining. Yeah. So there's a lot of different restaurants. There's like I think there's like over a dozen. I have a screen recording, over a dozen restaurants. And then I found another website that said that she did it virtually. So she is home all the time because that's the job. Obviously, virtually means you can do it from home. So she did it from home. So it doesn't mean she's unemployed. Maybe they let her go now because of everything going on. But she definitely worked at Disney and then did it from home, which also is kind of getting ahead of myself. It makes me think all this stuff that Stephan has been charged with is even more sad because Jennifer was home all the time, unless Stephan didn't do that at his house, whatever. But yeah, I don't know. It's very weird. And then it's not my notes, but Stephan's friends coming out and talk about them like breaking up and all this kind of stuff. Like, I don't buy these people. Okay. Actually, I'll just wait till it's mentioned in my notes. Sorry. Actually, that's the next thing on my note. Okay. So there's this friend, Frank, who's been talking. I found his Facebook. He's still a friend on Facebook with Stephan. So funny, he has not deleted that. But he talks like really in defense of Stephan, but also says like, I don't condone it sort of thing. And he says how many kids he has. I've seen pictures of his kids. I won't show that. But Frank he like literally hung out with Stephan, he says, like the week before this all broke. So that's crazy. And I think like, how could you not know? Like, I know there's people out there who like hide their lives and like can be like serial unalivers, and then people have no idea. But like someone who you're close to and play video games with and all that sort of stuff is so weird, especially in the interview. It was on T-Rev's channel. He had said that like from what he knows, Stephan only liked young girls. But then going ahead and looking at Stephan's charges, I assume he also liked little boys. And I'm kind of getting ahead of myself, so I'll dive into that a little bit later. But because Frank says he has 2 kids, 2 boys, and says like how young they are, and it's the age that Stephan appears to preference when it comes to boys. So it's disgusting and just so messed up. I think I mentioned this ahead of time, but not this first thing, but the second thing is that, so Stephan was really into Tamagotchis, and he's part of like Tamagotchi Reddit threads and all that sort of thing. And then that YouTube video that showed him, also he has a Reddit post that matches that exact outfit, and he's wearing a Tamagotchi. But then also, like I said before, is that he was really into video or board games, and he posted about board games all the time. He also collected figurines, by the way, and like painted them. So people like, I think his friend had said he always stayed up late, and people assumed he did like DRUGSs and stuff. But from what I saw on his Reddit, he painted figurines until like 3 a.m. Like I would think like Dungeons and Dragons. I don't like that just comes to my, I don't know that. I'm not in that world, so sorry if I get that all wrong, but that's like the sort of thing that Stephan was into. Doesn't mean he wasn't doing all this disgusting stuff, but I don't know if it was DRUGSs, I don't know about that. The reason why I think that is about the board games, and I had mentioned before, like I wonder if Jennifer and Stephan were friends with Stephen and Josephine and played board games with them, because that picture, like it's, I don't know, it's weird to me. It's just like, doesn't mean like everybody who plays them is that, but like if they're in that world, like why didn't they get a divorce, like were they on really, you think if you're on, I don't know, like it just doesn't make sense. Like a lot of things with this case, and not a lot really adds up. Okay, so continuing on about the Reddit, I also learned on the Reddit that Stephen likes certain things. So I'm scared about using certain words because I don't want to get like, in trouble for saying certain words. But when people talk about certain laws with things that you can SHOOT, he has, I'll blur the images, but he has a bunch of those on Reddit. So I think, was Madeline so scared? Was she threatened with that? And then it goes into how she was unalived. I think she was like, I can't say it because I can't risk saying certain things. I think she was, that was done to her, or I think that she was in one single thing, you know what I mean? So we don't know because the autopsy hasn't come out yet, but based on that, I think she was really scared. I mean, she's not here anymore, so that's why we're talking about this. But yeah, he has those, and he doesn't have any charges with those. I don't know how those laws work in Florida. I feel like they're a little bit, I wouldn't say lax, because I'm not going to go into that. It is what it is, but that's what he has. So I haven't seen anyone mention that, but yeah, I just wonder about that in particular. Okay, so as I shared earlier, Madeline was found in like a grassy, wooded area, and there was a post by, I think it was the sheriff, on his own personal Instagram of Madeline's body. And it was quickly deleted, I guess. Obviously, some people got it. I was able to find it. I will not share the image here. Don't worry. I'm not going to share that. That's so wrong to do. I would never do that. But I did find it just to know for myself. It is not crazy graphic. It just looks like someone sleeping. But it's still not a startling image to see. It's extremely, extremely sad to see. But the reason I chose to see it, I'm doing a deep dive into this video, is I want to know all the facts. So the reason why I wanted to see it is because Madeline's mom had said that Madeline was last seen wearing a dark green hoodie and black shorts. That is not what she was in at all. So I know some people still may not understand, but the reason why I wanted to see it is because I wanted to see the facts of the case. She was not in that. So that, again, shows another point of her lying. I said again, but you guys don't know all the stuff that I'm going to mention in this video. But if you're into this case, if you know a lot about this case, you know that Madeline's mom there's warning signs with Madeline's mom. So I found images of clothing. So don't be nervous. I'm not going to show what she looks like. Obviously, I'm just going to show stock images online of similar clothing. She was found in these light blue light blue jeans, and like a flowy kind of white shirt with blue stripes on it. I couldn't find the exact shirt, but it's very similar. This is not even close to the outfit that her mom said she went to school in. But then I also think about her birthday party. So the day before she went missing, she allegedly had a birthday party at her grandma's. And I think her grandma has spoken out in like Telemundo, is that what it's called? Sorry if I said that wrong, but interviews, so only speaking in Spanish, of interviews stating that they had the party and stuff. At the party, she was wearing this like bluish dress, right? I think it was bluish. I'll show you a picture. But she was wearing a dress. So that's not the same outfit. So my brain is thinking, did she get up super early for school and get dressed like crazy early, Or people have speculated, did she go to another party after? Like potentially what this stuff that Stephan's been charged with or Stephan's been charged with? Because the outfit, I mean, people dress however they want at school, but I wonder if she wore this outfit to school. Had people previously seen Madeline dress like this at school? And I'm not like, dogging on what she was wearing. I'm just trying to go into specifics about the outfit choices, Especially her mom said she was wearing shorts. Like, why would you say you should have just said what she was exactly wearing. It makes no sense. Did her mother not actually see her? I don't know. Again, it's all speculation on on my part. And so the other thing I want to talk about with that party is that it was said it was at her grandma's house. But Stephan says these words. So I've shared in a ton of videos before that the details matter, right? You can't skip over things. You have to listen to like every word when people are speaking. In the interview, Stephan said something along the lines of like, she was so happy we're all together. She was so happy we were all here. And the interview that they had with that news station was at their house.
She had a happy weekend. She just turned 13. She had her 13th birthday party. She was happy that we were all together here, and she's just very happy.
So was the party at her house and not at her grandma's? Is her grandma lying? Are there more people involved? Like, this is all, because it's a public case, is now open to public speculation, especially because they're coming out and talking, just like with all the other cases I've talked about. So from Stephan's words, it sounds as if the party was actually at their own house and not at the grandma's house. Weird, right? So maybe she did change once other people left their house. I don't know who was at the party. I've not seen anyone come out and talk and say we were there. It's weird, guys. It's super weird. So yeah, so based off the timeline of everything, I was like trying to think about her outfit, what she wore, blah, blah, blah. But I guess I just kind of made the connections, like just sitting here talking to you guys now. But that the police had said that they saw at 7:45 a.m. Stephan had dumped Madeline's laptop and like school issued laptop and backpack in the dumpster near their house.
We have video evidence that shows Stephan Stearns discarding items in a dumpster in that apartment complex in Kissimmee at 7:35 on Monday, February 26. Detectives later recovered Madeline's backpack and her school-issued laptop from that dumpster.
Which, by the way, most criminals are really stupid. Most criminals don't go very far from their house. They typically like get rid of people and they get rid of belongings right where they live. Like that, he used his own freaking dumpster. He's so stupid and lazy. Probably had no work that day. Could have made more effort, but did it in their own complex. Like he's stupid. I shouldn't say that. Most criminals are really stupid, okay? They're really stupid. And I think an important thing to note about that is they had said she got up early. They took her to school. Not got up early. They said they went to school a little bit earlier. But I looked up when first period starts for her school, and it starts at 9:28 a.m. But then he dumped her stuff at 7:45, right? So I think she was unalived. I think she was unalived on that Sunday, the 25th. Or the very early morning hours, like, 1, 2, 3, 4 in the morning of the Monday. And then they had all that time to figure it out. Because typically you dump stuff after you clean something up, right? I don't know. I mean, it could have been just before and then they dumped everything like right away. But that's just kind of like what I'm thinking. I hope I make sense. I'm sorry if I don't make sense. I really hope I do. I'm kind of like now stepping outside of my body right now. And I'm like, because I'm so exhausted right now. Like my baby barely slept last night. So I didn't get more than an hour consecutive last night. So I'm just like, Is what I'm saying translating? I really hope it is. Now we're going to get into, let's see. Okay, so we're going to get into a little bit next of the charges that Stephan has, a little bit of the specifics, and then mentioning this other case that I think is involved with Madeline Soto's case. Okay, so I already gave a trigger warning at the beginning of all this, but I want to give like an extra double, triple one right now because what I'm going to mention is disgusting. It's not crazy detailed, but it tells you a little bit of what it is. Okay, so as I said to you before, Stephan Stearns was arrested on CP charges, but not related to the unaliving of Madeline. And the CP charges that he has are related to females 12 years and under. And for those ones, there's videos of him forcing them to do mouth stuff and BUTT stuff and then regular way stuff with these very young girls. That in itself is horrifying and there are no words, okay? But the majority of his charges, so like literally over half of them, so like I would even say I think it's like three quarters of the 60 charges that Stephan has involve possessing material involving children 5 years and under, and specifically on the charges it says containing this and more of blank, 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 all these things. So it's not just it's this or this or this or this. It is of children 5 and under. I assume it's boys, and I'll get into it with that other case of why I think it's boys. But specifically, it's of those under 5 involving the most disgusting thing that has made me be like, okay, I'm doing this video because this man is an awful, like there are no words that YouTube would allow that I can say of what I think about this. I wouldn't say man. He is evil, containing young children with animals. Now, it's not him doing it, but he possesses material of that situation. I have young children, I told you. This is why I would never cover these cases, and it still hurts my heart too, and I don't think it's going to be a regular thing at all. It's too much. But if anything, this case has solidified in me why I'm a stay-at-home mom and why I trust no one. No one's watched my children. I'm not trying to make this video about me, but I'm just letting you know my stance based on me this is my video because I'm looking into this stuff, right? Of why I am, as I've said many times, a stay-at-home mom. I don't trust anybody. Well, except my husband. I don't trust anybody, okay? No one. My in-laws watched my son when I had my daughter. That's how little I trust people. And I had no choice. And my husband had to be there because our daughter had to be transferred to another hospital to have surgery because she was born with her insides out, you know? We had no choice there. We had no choice, or else they wouldn't have watched him. That's how little I trust people, okay? And if anything, people can think that's overprotective. I don't give a flying F. This right here proves how evil people are. Evil people. And yes, you can't live your life completely sheltered. But whilst you think there's a movement online of millennials talking about their children never having sleepovers, like I can remember sleepovers that when I saw my first explicit images was at a sleepover, and it was disgusting. Okay. It was disgusting. I can never forget it. My stupid brain can never forget it. Of course, it was so traumatizing. I remember the stuff, like I said, that I saw in my first sleepover. It's disgusting. Never saw it before. I saw it at a sleepover, and it was so vile. So vile. Okay. I just want to knock it out of my head, but I can't. So, if anything, these stories should be a warning to parents to have extra guards up. Even if people you think you trust them, women can be these people too, okay? They can be, and I won't be surprised if Madeline's mom was involved. I will not be surprised in the slightest. So talking about that, the sick freak who deserves to have all his orifices chopped right off. I don't think he does deserve to not be alive anymore. But that, to me, I'm not into that because I think that gets them off too easy. They should suffer. They should have to be like a torture center. They should have to go through what they made other people go through. That's my thing. Think Dexter. I haven't seen Dexter since like 2010, I think, something like that. So I don't know. I don't know if that was what it was, but my brain thinks that's what Dexter did. But I don't know. Anyways, okay. So this is saying all that BS is because I want to get to this case. So there's another case of, like I said, mentioned in my intro or earlier in the video about where Madeline's body was discovered. It was discovered 6 miles or an 11-minute drive from Henry Cox and James Cox's house. If you don't know who these people are, James Cox has been referred to as Santa. They were both being surveilled by the local police department, I think the FBI and stuff too, on CP related things. There was an anonymous tip sent through the internet, they said, and they've been having eyes on these guys since the summer of 2022. The messed up thing with this is that they've been investigating them, and they even searched their house and found stuff, found materials, all this crap. They didn't notify neighbors, no one. And the neighbors continue to have their kids go to their house and be heavily involved in their lives. Like, this guy's named Santa for a reason. He dressed like Santa year round, obviously to attract to children. And this man is like 79, 80 years old.
There's a pile of kids that live in the house across the street too. Yeah. And I feel like they should have told us, don't tell us any details, just say, be careful with your kids.
Gross, right? So anyways, why this has to do with it, it's in St. Cloud, Florida. So the same vicinity, literally, like I said, 6 miles away from where Madeline was found. These two were being surveilled. Okay. So unfortunately, I've not been able to access the specific thing, like in Stephan's case, of like the exact details of it. There is a whole thing of talking about in detail without redacted stuff, with a couple of things about that they found. I'm not going to go through that. It is absolutely disgusting. I read some of it just to kind of like learn, and it's nasty, nasty, nasty. Like I said, there's no words available on YouTube that I could say to describe how I actually feel about this. Who are Henry and James, other than saying that little blurb that I said? They are a father and son. Henry, I don't think is married. I can't remember if he was, but he has a son. Henry was 54 years old. So what happened was they were being surveilled, and the police had their documents that they needed in order to arrest them. And then I guess maybe somehow Henry knew. Actually, my brain is now figuring out how Henry knew they were going to be arrested. Oh my God. You'll see why I'm saying this in just a second, because I just made this connection right now in my brain. I was wondering how he knew he was going to be arrested. That makes no sense. Normally they just show up unannounced, right? To like catch them off guard and arrest them. So what had happened is Henry unalived himself with a thing into there, and he's gone now. Sorry, I'm bouncing all over the place because my brain's like, shut up. This is how he knew, The charges that they have are involving children 12 years and under, and a lot of them involve males 5 and under. And a lot of them have Henry on video. Trigger warning, get out of this video if you don't want to hear this, of a child, a boy on a bed, on a towel, specific like that, and says what he's doing to that child. I'm happy this guy's not alive anymore. It's so messed up. But this is why I think that Stephan possessed the material of that incident, because these sick freaks were into little boys. Not that being into little girls is not gross, but something about little boys just makes me, probably because I have a son, obviously. But I also have a daughter, so I'd be equally grossed out. This is why I think that they are connected, because of the specific material, and why Stephan would physically do things with women, but obviously watch, in my mind, boys. It didn't say boys. But because I don't know why it didn't say gender at all, so I don't know why, gender, sex, whatever, it didn't say it. So I don't know why it didn't, but anyways. And then I don't know if James worked, Santa, whatever. I don't know if he worked, but he was really old, so he probably didn't. He's 79, 80, whatever. Sorry, I had to take a break for a second. I'm just so mad, and I'll just be screaming this whole time. So I'm trying to be a little bit more reserved. So who is Henry? Who was Henry? He's no longer here anymore. Henry, like I said, is 54 years old, has a master's in social work, and he gained employment with DCF, which if you don't know DCF, Department of Child and Family Services. What? This sick freak worked for Child and Family Services? You've got to be crapping me. Like I said, I wish I could say the S word, but you can't say that anymore. You do. What? So gross, okay? And most recently, he worked for Spirit Airlines as a flight attendant. And he frequented Disney and other parks, whatever. This is not just a once-off individual in this world. There must be a lot of this freaking crap. It's like, can you go anywhere? You have to just stay home? This is mental. This is disgusting. Okay. He frequented Disney, right? Maybe he knows Stephan, and I know Disney's huge, so I'm not just trying to make connections where there's not connections, but this is what I think. I think they're connected. I think they are connected, especially because Stephan was arrested February 28th on only these kind of charges. And then Henry and James were supposed to be arrested. Well, James was arrested. Henry was not alive anymore on, I think it was March the 5th. Let me check my notes. Sorry, I did not write it down. Anyways, I think it was March the 5th that they were arrested. So like a week later, or like not even a whole week later, they were arrested. Sorry, I keep saying they. He, the dad, was arrested. So they frequented Disney, right? They're a big Disney family. And they even went on a cruise in 2021 and with their family, like brothers, nieces and nephews, grandchildren, like all of them together. They went on this cruise for Henry's brother, Jerome. Jerome also lives in Florida. He works in law enforcement in Florida. He's a police officer. I only know because I found his Facebook. I saw he did like some torch run for disabilities, which is, I'm not going to comment on, whatever. It just is what it is. So he worked, I can't find the department he worked for. It's not easy to find police officers, like where they work, their name, like they don't have that easily available unless they share it on their social media. Except in Utah, they seem to share all that on their social media pretty easily, and you can find them like super easily. So why I was like, oh my gosh, how did Henry know that he was going to be arrested that day? I bet you that his brother, who works in law enforcement, obviously told him, hey, they're going to come arrest you this morning. How else would you know? People don't know someone's going to be arrested. You don't know you're going to be arrested, do you? No, you wouldn't know the date you're going to be arrested and then unalive yourself. There's no way. I'm so happy I dug into his brother, Jerome. So wrong. And then his brother, so I use this website to look up all cases I've ever looked at. It shows you like where they worked, like how I knew that Henry was a flight attendant is that thing said he was a flight attendant. And then I looked up and found specific information that showed that Henry was a flight attendant with Spirit Airlines. So then with Jerome, when I look at his work, he might be a retired police officer now, but it's like kind of like once a police officer, always a police officer, just like with the army, like you still have your buddies on the end sort of thing, whatever. Like even one of Jerome's really good friends was a warden at the local prison for like 30 years or something like that. But that guy's since retired, so I'm not going to mention his name or anything. But I looked up the work that Jerome did, and it says that he used to, it shows like names of employee, like associates, which this has like always been correct. I clicked on one of them. Well, I clicked on all of them, but one of them, she had worked at Disney for 9 months. So from this, per this website, it appears that Jerome also worked at Disney. So if Jerome worked at Disney, he would have known them. So is he also involved? Like law enforcement is involved in all this stuff. Sometimes there's cover-ups. He might be involved. I don't know. But he did work at Disney. His brother and his dad did do all this stuff for however long. They got reported in 2022, but who knows how long they've been doing this for. Disgusting, right? It's so wrong. Okay, so wrong. And the extra sad thing, like this is, anything could be extra sad, but Jerome had adopted a kid, and him and his wife are still friends with the birth mother, and they're still involved. And I've seen all the pictures of the kid and the birth mom and stuff. So it's just really sad to me that this mom gave up her child to potentially a family who has now done stuff to her child.
Allegedly.
So wrong on so many levels. Like, this is insane to me. Well, my notes say that Jerome has been working as a police officer since at least 2012, because that's when the run was that I found a picture of 2012. I searched for like literally hours, like 8 hours, trying to find specific information. Couldn't find anything other than that one photo. Oh yeah, I did put it here. So yeah, James was arrested on Tuesday, March the 5th. Saw it in my notes finally. Sorry. I didn't go into any like crazy details about James and Henry's case, but I just wanted to do a little deep diving in them. Deep diving doesn't have to be like a long thing in itself, But if there's a lot of information, there is. But on them, that's their case. And so I've mentioned their case and mentioned what they do for work. Like that is, I dug deep to find that. So, while it may not be a big segment in this video, I believe they're connected. Let me know what you guys think. Sorry, I haven't really addressed you guys besides talking to you. What do you guys think? Do you think that these cases are involved? I think that we're going to see more arrests potentially in Florida. Like Florida is a big like CPS state, like this whole, sorry if I don't get the words correct, but they're a big industry for this. So while there's arrests all the time in terms of rings, they typically do like back to back arrests, and I have not seen anything else. And this happened, March the 5th, quite a little while ago. So they'd be doing back to back. So maybe this whole sting operation with them was this group of men here. And there could be more like single men arrested that have to do with this. Like who knows who it could be, but I think they're definitely connected. And that small of a proximity together, like I said, criminals don't go far from their house. Like how Stephan dumped Madeline's stuff in their own dumpster. Like the fact that she was found 6 miles from the Cox's house, from Henry and James Cox's house, that is too coincidental. It's too close. They get familiar with it. Maybe they have something to do with her unaliving. Who knows? But I think Henry's brother Jerome needs to be looked into as well. He probably leaked it. How else do you know? Let me know. Have you guys seen things where people just suddenly know? Because I haven't. I haven't seen where people just know. Like even Gypsy Rose. They didn't know they were going to be arrested. The SWAT team just all showed up there, I think he had the in and found out. It's so bad, so bad. Why would you? That means he knew about it. And so, I don't know. Doesn't mean he's like comparable. I don't know what the right word is, but yeah, it's just, I have such the strong ick. I don't know how much I can look in these kind of cases. It's so disturbing to know this information, but it's also like kind of good to know in a way, because then not to trust people, like if you're a single mom out there, don't trust people. Like it's not worth it to allow these sick men into your life. Like you don't know. It's just not worth it. It's not worth it. I'd rather have way less money and be a stay-at-home mom than have all the money and potentially risk. I see too many stories on TikTok all the time. Just get on TikTok, you'll see. It's just so disgusting. So yeah, I'm going to get into now a little bit of what I think about Jennifer and that whole interview she did at her house. Okay, now I know I haven't gone into some like crazy details about this case. Like I've done it. If you're new to my channel, I kind of go different angles. Like, yes, I mention a lot of the things that other people mention, but then I like to find my spin on it and then also find other information regarding that. Like, I don't want to just regurgitate all the same information that we've already heard. Like, I value my time, I value your time. Not that other channels don't, but I'm just saying, teach their own. This is just how I do things. So if you need more specifics, I'd recommend going to T-Rev's channel. This is really good, but summing up ones, maybe just the news. I don't know. Okay, so I want to get into Jennifer because to me, she's not a mom who is like desperate to find her child. Like, I know there's the shock factor and like the scared factor, but like her body language, I haven't watched a video yet on the body analysis guy. He's really good. I've only watched a couple of his videos, but I'd like to see what he says about this, which I probably will now after I take a break from watching some videos here because I've watched like a ton of stuff to do research for this video. She doesn't cry. Like, you think you'd be desperately searching for your child. She'd never desperately search for her daughter because in my mind, why wouldn't you do that? Because you are involved or that you know what's happened. Even if it's like an accessory after the fact, like she knows what has happened because you'd be like desperately crying. She just looks scared to be talked to, like she's shaking her leg a lot and stuff. Like, it's just, like I've said lots, like the details of things really matter. Okay, so she did an interview with WFTV. I think it's in Orlando. Like I said already, her body language is really odd. So I want to point out one thing here. Well, many things, but right now there's one thing. So as I've shared before, I watched T-Rev. I haven't watched like any videos on this case prior to showing interest in posting my community posts about wanting to look into this case. But and I hadn't gotten T-Rev's channel in a while, but I decided to watch some of his recent ones, like as in like when he went live the other day, I watched it. But then I decided to go back because sometimes what he'll do, he has like 4 to 6 hour long lives, but if he has a really great interview, he'll just segment that and then put that into a video. So he has one with a guy who was like a former law enforcement officer in Florida, and it's really good. Go watch it. I can't link things in my description box anymore because it flags my video, but just go to T-Rev's channel. I'll put like a picture of what his channel looks like here. I'm a member of his channel. I really like him. I think he's like literally the only good live channel out there. I think like he is so respectful and allows all opinions, but is also not scared to share his opinion. And he's not money hungry. He's not asking for donations and stars and like all these things. You know, he's not that guy. He's really good. And if people give, he's very appreciative, which I like. Not that it's not necessarily wrong to ask, but I think in a way it is, because YouTube does pay a lot. When you start getting tens of thousands of views, YouTube pays a lot. So I don't think it's worth it to ask all these people for money. Anyways, in this interview, the law enforcement guy points out a very specific thing about the news crew showing up there. And so I'm going to insert that for you right now.
Now, if I could just bring up the interview, we would have to listen to it again, but I don't recall if it was Jenn or Stephan that said we, and paraphrasing, we organized this interview, or if the TV station organized the interview. And that would be critical, and I'll tell you why. So did Soto and Jenn and Stephan, did they say, hey, our daughter's missing, let's get the news involved so we can get the word out? Or did the news show up and say, hey, would you guys like to do an interview? And that's not 100% clear, but I'll tell you why it's important and critical. I believe, based on my training and experience, I believe that the sheriff's office sent the news to the home to do a casual, comfortable sort of interview so that they could observe, okay? They could listen and observe to people who were potential suspects at that time. Now, of course, you're not going to say you're a suspect because they want to see what's going on. They want to watch you and listen to you. So these two people, Stephan and Jenn, didn't even realize that they were potentially suspects at the time. The news station was sent to get an interview so that the police could continue their investigation and use that to look at the body, mannerisms and the statements. Does that sound pretty clear?
Yes, sir.
So that is super good to know. And then it made me think, I was watching the interview because I already watched it before and just thought, okay, blah, blah, blah. But then after looking into Jennifer, all the pictures I've ever seen, she has her makeup done, looks kind of, at least some makeup on, right? If you look at her, I'm not trying to diss her appearance. I'm not anti-women, okay? But obviously, if you know a news team is going to be there, you're going to put some makeup on. You're going to look somewhat, even if you're mourning, like, think every case that's ever been covered, and you know you're going to be interviewed, you have makeup on. I think it's really good to look at these details because she has no makeup on. No offense, but she kind of looks like crap. She is dressed like how I dress. I mean, I'm just wearing a sweater right now, but like she dresses how any mom dresses on a daily basis, but not if you're going to be on national news or international news, you know? So I think this guy is spot on. She totally didn't know they were going to be there and then had no makeup on, and that's why she's shaking. That's why she's uncomfortable. She couldn't prepare, you know? Weird, right? Like they had their prepared story, maybe to just know overall to tell the police, but like, have you guys noticed that detail of wearing no makeup and how interesting that is? That must be a telltale sign of her not knowing they were going to show up. And this guy is amazing, okay? T-Rev's channel is amazing. He gets some really good people calling in, honestly, really good. And he'll put people in their place who are clearly not with it, you know? Thing I want to note that I think is super important. You can go watch all the interviews if you haven't already, but Jenn says that we dropped her off at school.
We dropped her off at school, close to school. She wanted to walk the rest of the way.
Okay, so you heard that, but then she changes and she says, my boyfriend dropped her off at school or took her to school or whatever.
I was the one who took her to school in the morning. That was my partner.
Isn't that really weird? And then she also says, I'm not sure what I'm allowed to share.
I'm not sure what I'm allowed to share.
You can share whatever you feel comfortable sharing. I know you had conversations with detectives. Not sure what that conversation is, but whichever you feel comfortable sharing.
And to me, it looks as if she's trying to remember lines. Like I said, they already maybe came up with a story that they were going to tell the police, obviously. Stephan is a sociopath. He's crying, but like, I don't buy your little tears. Also, there's no tears really falling. His red around his eyes probably knows he's going to be caught on the CP stuff. Probably, you know, whatever. Another thing that she says, Jenn, she says that when they saw Madeline walking, there were cameras.
She was spotted walking by the church, by the middle school, on the cameras. They saw her hang out in the parking lot for a little bit and then get up and leave. They didn't see a vehicle or anything else. They just saw her walk away around 9 a.m. heading towards the school, but she never made it.
And I'm like, what cameras? What footage? Because she said cameras captured Madeline walking, you know, where she was dropped off at, like, near the church. And then Stephan mentions in the exact same interview, but a little bit later on, he says that the church had cameras and can see her in the parking lot. But I haven't seen it in this video. He says it's like really grainy and stuff, but
we looked all up and down the road, all along the communities, and there was nothing helpful. None of the cameras were pointing the street. Nothing, which in 2024 was surprising. The church across the street had some cameras, and they mentioned seeing her waiting around in the parking lot for a while before moving on, and that was it. But it was grainy footage and not much else.
No one's come up with this. If this was true, this would be all over the place. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. I could be very wrong, and I'll retract what I'm saying if I'm wrong. But she says people saw, Jenn says people saw, and then Stephan says that the church captured. So where is this? Even if it's grainy, bring it out, right? Remember the Ramon Preciado video? Like, that was pretty grainy. People tried to clear that up. Bring it out if it's true, because it's not true. It's not true. And the reason why it's not true, I'll show that in just a second, sorry. Actually, I'm just going to play it now. So the reason why it's not true is I'm going to insert now the police talking about how she was never dropped off. You would have already all saw this, but I think it's still important to insert here.
Our detectives have determined that Madeline was never dropped off on the morning of February 26th near her school. Instead, we believe she was already at the time and that Stephan Stearns moved her body.
And then another thing that Jenn says is she says that Madeline left her cell phone at home accidentally, you know, because she has ADHD, whatever, which I don't not buy that she has ADHD, but a teenager forgetting their cell phone, really? Don't you think you would have dropped it off? You would have saw it at home when you've dropped it off for her. And then, that Madeline accidentally left her phone at home, but then Stephan accidentally factory reset her phone. I can't find any footage of him saying that, but I have seen the news, like, reporting on him accidentally factory. That's like saying you accidentally cheated on your wife. Like, there's no accident when it takes a lot of steps to get there. Like, to factory reset a phone takes a lot of steps. You can't just do it in one click. So I don't buy it. Also, I think I said this a little bit earlier, but that Jenn didn't go looking. She says that, like, parents went and other people went looking, but she didn't go looking for a kid. Like, if one of my kids is missing, God forbid, I think about this all the time. Like, if suddenly went missing, like, I'd obviously just want to not be alive anymore because I couldn't go on, but I would not sleep. I would be out day and night all the time, looking everywhere. Everywhere. Follow every lead, knocking on doors if I freaking had to. I wouldn't give a crap if I looked crazy. I'd be looking for my child. This is not a mother who has accidentally or who has no involvement. In my opinion, this is not a mother who's not involved. Take that for what you want, but she's involved in my mind. And then she is, like, shaking all the time. I've already said that. Okay. So that's all I have to say about Jenn, and let's just continue on with the rest of this video. With all that said, where do we go from here? Well, I'm going to insert for you this little bit from Court TV about the, like, appearances for Stephan and, like, what's in the works for what's happening here and whatever. So I'll insert that little thing for you here.
Court dates were set this week. First of all, he was scheduled for an arraignment on April 2nd. I'm using terms that you'll be familiar with from your time in the courtroom. It was set for the morning of April 2nd, which is a Thursday. Sometime today, this afternoon, that appearance was waived. Now, when he was first arrested back on the last week of February, he refused an initial court appearance. And then for the reading of the charges, he did not appear in court either. His public defender appeared in his stead. So Stephan Stearns has yet to appear in court, and it appears that he's trying to avoid this at all costs to make an appearance. Now, court dates have been set. His trial has been set to start for the week of the May 13th docket, with a pretrial hearing set for April 24th now.
Okay, so his trial is set to start in May. He's obviously pled not guilty because he's in whatever. And, like, where do we go from here? Well, his trial is going to go, and then we're going to see if there's any more arrests. I won't be surprised if Jenn is arrested. Who else could be arrested? You know, I don't know. I think that I think there's going to be more arrests. It's just like a matter of who is going to be arrested. There's probably a lot of people to do with this, and I think the police are doing their job. I think the reason why there's not charges is because this wasn't originally, they were already probably looking into Stephan, and then it's just like, with all due respect, it was coincidental that Madeline is gone. It like happened in the midst of all this, and they're like, whoa. So they made that their priority, obviously, but he got those charges in the meantime because they were already looking into him, is my assumption. I could be wrong. And then now this has happened. Who knows? There's a lot of like 13-year-olds that go missing in Florida. I've looked up like 12, 13-year-olds. It's really sad. I wonder how many others are out there that are unaccounted for. If anything, like I've already shared, this is like a reminder, keep your kids close. Like really vet the relationships that you have. Don't look for love just anywhere. And we got to put our kids first. I mean, I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but I definitely put my kids first. Sometimes at the expense, a lot of times at the expense of my own health. Like I don't wash my face every time I should wash my, those kind of things. I don't sometimes stay in my jammies all the day, but like sometimes don't eat until dinner, but we still got to take care of ourselves. But we have to remember our children are matter. I think we need to protect our children and don't be scared to speak up, because it seems like a lot of family members have failed Madeline and continue to. By all these family members show no freaking emotion in their interviews. None. Aunts, grandma, no one shows emotion. None of them. They are all just as responsible as Jennifer is in my mind. I know she's the mom, but like the grandma, whatever. They have all failed her in reality. I will not sugarcoat it. I will not be like, poor them. If they were bawling their faces off, yeah, maybe I would. And sorry if that sounds harsh, but sorry, but not sorry, because these people are bad for doing it, all this stuff, and just all the charges. If you look into them, you're going to be just as disgusted. And it's really bad. So anyways, that's all for today's video. What am I looking into next? Well, this is a really, really big week. At the end of next week, as in like, I think this video is going up on Sunday. At the end of the week, all of the Jody, whenever that end of the week, however you see what that date is, I'm not saying it yet. I'm sure someone else already come with it, like I already said, but all that stuff, the body cam, the phone calls, the redacted phone calls from prison, documents, detailing things, all that's coming out. So I think that's going to be my focus. I think I need to take a little mental break from looking into all this stuff. I don't think I look into anything else unless it's like lighthearted. But you'll have a lot of content coming this next week. If you are not subscribed, please consider subscribing. And if you are subscribed, please hit the notification bell. I've never said that in my videos, I don't think ever. But please hit the notification bell so you can be alerted when I post those videos of Jody and Ruby. Hopefully they're good enough. Hopefully I can get them out. I'm sure other people are releasing them too. But anyways, thank you so much for watching. If you have, I know I'm late to the game, but I hope that you learned something new in this video that maybe you didn't know somewhere else. So take care of yourselves, guys. Hug your children, and really just, if you're a parent, I try to tell myself when they're young, the days are fleeting. Yes, I'm exhausted, but soon these days I'll get rest, and I love my kids. They come first, okay? So anyways, that's all I have for today's video. I hope you guys are having a great week and you had a great weekend, and you'll catch another video probably at the end of the week. So bye, guys.